Hi, this is Dr. Scott Young, and today we're going to get into the history of the Executive Order 13848. Now, we're going to get into whys. Now, you might have noticed I changed some things in the background here. Yeah, now that we're empty nesting, we had to change everything around. We've been moving like crazy. My back is out because of moving things, but that's how it works with that too. So we have a different room and different setup with everything that we have here. So that's why it's been a little bit of a delay. Now, some of you ask these questions and you wonder about what's going on in the background. You see, what is it today? September 2nd. And we're like, yeah, but why hasn't it happened yet? And we're going to get into a little bit of that issue. Realize the history of executive orders. Normally, executive orders are done because the presidential branch, or the executive branch, excuse me, specifically, says, you know what, we need to create systems that I don't trust either the Congress or Senate to do. But it actually isn't necessarily in those purviews of the Congress or the Senate with that. Okay, so it's just a background. Now, normally, for instance, wars had to be confirmed by Congress. Now, go back in time, and December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, by FDR. He spoke that on the day after. So on the 8th, he's in Congress speaking about this. Now, if you haven't met many of the greatest generation, I have met a ton of them, and one of the things that they would tell you about is that during that time frame, everyone was pretty much against the war, and then as soon as they found out about Pearl Harbor, the recruitment lines for the Marines and the Navy and Air Force, were just off the chart. They were just around the corners everywhere because all the greatest generation who were 18 to 25 years old were just running in to get to jump into the war. So ever since that moment in time, Korea, Vietnam became executive order wars. They really weren't confirmed by Congress. And see, that's one of the things that most people don't realize. And that's one of the reasons why Trump actually didn't start any wars, because it's constitutionally illegal for a president to get into a war. But see, that doesn't stop. That didn't stop. Nixon was doing it. And frankly, even Kennedy was a part of that as well. Kennedy pushed out the war a little bit. We see, and he tried to pull back and say, wait a second, this is not what I want to do. We see even one of my favorite presidents, Eisenhower, doing this. But executive orders were supposed to be something that were just for a smaller-ish event, and they were for that particular presidency. Almost no time out there in the past did you see an executive order float over to the next president. We're going to show you two of them. We're going to talk about this executive order of 13818 or 848 and then 13818. Now, let's just show you the original portion of 13848. Okay, so here on the screen, and we're going to talk about some issues with that. So here on the screen we have, and I'm reading from this other side, so if you don't mind, I'm looking over here. Now, imposing certain sanctions in the event of a foreign interference. Now, why would Trump, he's not even a year and a half into his 4-year term, why would he bring this up? And so let's talk a little bit about this. Not 45 degree, no later than 45 days after the conclusion of a United States election. So he's talking about any type of election that would happen in our area. The DNI shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating foreign government or any person acting as an agent on the behalf of the foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering with the election. So in essence, the DNI shall deliver this evidence to the President, Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury. It's interesting why we would say the Treasury here. I mean, Treasury is the last one I would necessarily put it through, but that's just interesting why they threw that in there. Defense, Attorney General, and then Homeland Security. You got all this really interesting kind of conversations because it's talking about foreign interference, but it's also talking about people who are doing it domestically. Now think about the oath that military officers actually do, that they're defending the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So he's creating a list of enemies that could mess within our elections. Now, again, back in 2018. Now, let's go backward to my little banner right here. So this was done in 2018, but what you don't understand and what many people don't realize is that in 2017, the Dominion machines were not calibrated. They stopped their calibration point from 2017 on. And you go, why? Now, we know that elections have been messed with for a very long time frame. And if you've listened to any of my videos, you know this is the part of it. NESARA actually, if we don't fix an election, forget about whatever you believe about NESARA, forget about whatever you believe about Trump, forget about whoever you want in Congress or Senate, forget about any of that. Forget about getting the laws and the orders of our lands corrected. Forget about taking care of the idiot cabal, because none of that stuff will matter, because they will put in their people, they will mess with the election systems, which I've already said to you over and over, have to be fixed. They have to be fixed. Now, in 2016, there's some back-end intel that talks to us, and I've looked into this kind of thing. It's very fascinating, but you can't really actually find it out there. Back-end intel that what they did is they unhooked those Dominion machines from getting on the internet. So in 2017, what that company did is they chose to not do their election certification through the election board. This is a national board that actually is in charge of taking care of elections. And Trump knew it. Trump knew the systems that were happening out there, knew why it was going on, because it's been a long-term issue with people who are foreign and domestic collectively going together to mess with an election. Oof. Now, fast forward a tad, and you have the end of an election time frame. So I'm going to bring this off the screen. You have an end of the election time frame in 2020. There are so many problems with the 2020 election. It's off the chart. Now, some of you will say, yeah, but Trump accepted it. Did he accept it? He's running for president right now, so we need to have a red wave and take care of it. Wait a second. We had a red wave in 2016. We had a red wave in 2020. I mean, Trump won by 302 or 306, of electoral votes. That is way high of a number in 2016 when he was absolutely not one. I mean, they absolutely didn't want him in office. So they did all these different things to discredit him. And yet he won because of the popular vote was there, and the electoral college, because of all the states were there. Now, 2020 comes, and he is way more popular. He is stronger in the situation, and yet he loses 81 million, and no one believes that Joe Biden got 81 million. Come on, guys. Think it through a little bit. And even Trump has said, fix 2020. He said it over and over again. He didn't show up to the inauguration, if you've listened to some of my videos with that. Okay, so what's going on? Why do we have to have machines not calibrated? Because what they don't want to do is now have the calibration show that they were internet connected. Did you catch that? Now, so we have a corrupted system. Now, if you're Joe Biden and you're in office, supposedly legally, right, in 2021, you would not want this particular executive order in 2018 to come to pass. I would let that one die if I was the idiot cabal. So how come they didn't kill it? Now let me skip over a little thing here. But look at this one. This is September 7th of 2021. Now this executive order originally came in September 12th of 2018. So it basically comes in, and he had actually kept it going through his presidency, and then in 2021 Joe Biden could just let it go away. I mean, he just could have let it kill. But they actually changed it a little bit. So the president has declared a national emergency pursuant to the International Economic Powers Act. Why economic powers? Why wouldn't you say election powers? Because this is all about foreign interference. Although there's no evidence of foreign powers altering the outcomes or the vote tabulations of any election, foreign powers have historically sought to exploit America's free and open political system. Why do they have to share this? They already lost on the Russia hoax issue, right? But they didn't care. But why would you keep this thing going? It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. Now, where do they actually get this from? Here's what I want you to see. And I'm going to bring this a little closer on the screen so you can kind of see it a little bit better. But basically this, the 14th Amendment under the 3rd section says, no person shall be a senator or representative of Congress, elector or president or vice president, hold any office, civil or military, under the United States in any state who's previously taken an oath. Oh my gosh, isn't that Joe Biden? Any officer whatsoever, blah, 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 given aid to comfort of the enemies. But Congress may vote 2/3 of the House and remove such disability. And you're like, wait a second. Why would you say it that way? This was created in 1868, before the 1871 takeover of the Cabal, takeover of the Constitution. This was where Trump was getting this from. So we have Joe Biden coming over here and extending this thing. He doesn't just extend it in 2021, he does it in 2022, in the same basic time frame. He's saying on September 20, 2018, executive order, the president declares a national emergency, and he just says the same thing. There's no evidence, but he's keeping it going. Why? It makes zero sense. Skip into 2023. They're talking to you about there's foreign interference during the 2022 election term. Why? Because there's more to the story than you realize, okay? So they kept it going, and they keep pushing it year upon year. In 2023, they actually take that same executive order and they write the same information inside of it, and he pushes it out and must continue in effect beyond 2023 into 2024. Now, you actually cannot find, I've tried everywhere to find it. Some of you might find it for me. If you can, that's great. But I couldn't find it anywhere to find the 2024, but I know that it occurred, okay? Because I've seen it, but I couldn't find the most recent point out there. So we are September 2nd. We're coming up on the 12th. It's an interesting backwall date. I remember Derek Johnson and I were talking about this, that the BRICS summit was happening in 2022. We also had this 2022 issue with this Executive Order 13818 or 848 here, and we were wondering if it would be extended. It was. We thought things would be done. In 2023, we thought it would be done. And yet it keeps coming up on this. Now we're right close to their election points. Okay, but here's what you have to see, what they are trying to tell you on the back end of this. I'm going to open this up a little bit closer so you can see what they're saying here. This is what they want you to know. So here's what they say. This is, and they're using Code Monkey. You know, Ron talks a lot about this. He's really kind of good guy here with this too, and he's talking about executive order, the seemingly unexpected edict that has quietly been ticking since 2018. Like, what? Ron says over here, EO 13818, which allows him to take drastic measures, could potentially be used to restore the republic. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, because you're talking about what could it be. This was done also, he said, utilizes EO 13818 and become a legend in history. And then they kind of start saying that, then they use their statement. This is the disinformation fact check idiots. Okay. So this is in December of 2020. So as political disinformation about 2020 continued into December, the purveyors bring out this little thing and they basically say that they use this part to bring out professional conspiracy theorist Ron Watkins. Professional conspiracy theorist? What? It's just a stupid statement. So they try to say enormously popular Donald Trump, the U.S. swamp wants nothing to do with them, and he brings out these different orders, right? They keep trying to beat him up here, okay? And they show all of what they think that could happen. So what they're saying here, in essence, is this: trust the plan and the role, and they're just making fun of it. And I go, okay, if you guys are making fun of this issue and you think this is this particular issue is stupid, so this is what the fact checkers believe, okay, and they think it's stupid, why continue with this executive order? I mean, why would you want to have a gun to your head constantly with elections that you know are corrupted? You did it. You would let that thing go away. Why is it happening? I'm telling you, it's the most exciting part of this whole thing. And some people tell me, and I've had this said to me many times, well, they need 2024 because the military is watching so they can catch more people. Wait, you didn't catch enough in 2020 and 2022. You had both election types, and you saw the massive corruption. We don't need any more. We don't need any more time frames to find out about this. And yet, executive order keeps coming up. I'm going to be fascinated in the next 2 weeks or 10 days here. If they extend this, I'm going to be fascinated to see why or if they extend it. Could it be a back wall? I'm asking the question. Could it be a back wall? I don't know. Could it be an issue that they're saying, no, we're not doing this anymore? Let me show you one last one that I'll show you on the screen here. This is what this was done actually. I'm going to show you the date here. I have the date here. Basically, this is the one of the original issues that were the Title 50 War and Nation Defense. This is done by the framers of the Constitution. The use of extraordinary threat, the declaration of national emergency, this is where they get this from, okay, exercises presidential authorities. So what happens, the presidential authorities come basically because of elections. So if we have any transactions of foreign exchange, any transfers of credits between banking institutions and foreign countries, this is where we're going to get into Executive Order 13818 as well. The importing, exporting of currency or securities. We also have block of the president, of pendency of the investigation. So anyone who messes with the investigation, if they're engaged in armed hostilities, which means foreign wars. This is so fascinating with this, and I'll put that in the notes here so you can kind of read this. Any donations. And so what it's saying here is this is where Trump gets this from. This is why the executive order was actually occurring to come up with Executive Order 13818. It's from the original portions of the Constitution to say the president has to make sure that elections are secure. Now, just like, here's the interesting part. From a state standpoint, elections have to be secured from the governor, which is why the Katie Hobbs and Kari Lake one is so fascinating, and why Trump has been around her, Kari Lake specifically. Kari Lake in Arizona, wildly popular person. She is got it going, has got amazing stuff going on here. And she was stolen from by Katie Hobbs. Katie Hobbs was the Secretary of State. She was in charge of the election portion. That's like the fox guarding the hen house, as the saying goes. Like, wait a second, what? How can she actually do that? And supposedly won, and was in a basement most of the time. Did Basement Joe the same way that he did in 2020, she did it in 2022 in Arizona. They're trying to show you that elections can be messed with and no one will do anything about it. And the answer is, what do you guys need? Do you need to have another event in 2024? The answer is no. That's why I don't believe in those kinds of election points that happen. That's why I'm bringing this one up to you right now. Have hope in yourself. That have hope that the military has this one. And the reason why I'm speaking out is I'm going to call myself just what the English police will call me, is the digital warrior pushing in the background, what they would call disinformation. I go, guess what disinformation really is? It means something that isn't true. Do you not believe that the elections were corrupted? I think you know it. I think everyone knows it. What did we just witness only a week or two ago at the DNC in Chicago? Joe Biden was brought in and he had won all the primaries. He goes to the end of the primary season and then it's in late June. He's supposedly supposed to stand there and give a debate 2 days before that Thursday debate, the end of June. The media is telling you left and right, all these videos. Don't look at those cheap fakes where Joe Biden looks like he's confused. That's just ridiculous, stupid, right? He gets up on stage and craps the bed, right? He doesn't even just do it to his diaper. He does it all the way over the stage, right? And Jill Biden is seen walking him down the stairs as this, feeble old man. Now, I was shocked and amazed that the media then turned on him. I mean, they literally 2 days before were singing his praises and saying that he was very competent, and then he suddenly wasn't competent at all. Like, wait a second, this blows my mind. And yet, that's exactly what they did. And then not even 2-3 weeks later, Kamala's in, and you go, why didn't you bring on Michelle Obama? You would call her a different name. Why wouldn't you just even do Barack? Why wouldn't you say, the FDR thing be damned? We're going to bring on Barack for an emergency power issue. Why wouldn't you had Elizabeth Warren? Before even the 2020 elections, you guys had Tulsi Gabbard. Why wouldn't you bring anyone else on? It's because if you bring off Kamala off the stage as well as Joe, then you can't actually be in any one of these states. It's so late, and people go, yeah, but, and I go, wait a second. If you wanted to get this done, you would have done it in the beginning of this calendar year or in 2023. But Joe has been going out and pushing his agenda over and over again, and they kicked him out. And then they put Kamala on stage, and she is the worst out there. Did you know that California on live TV said, we abstain from pushing forward Kamala with our electoral ability? And then suddenly you see another video out there a little bit later on with Gavin Newsom pushing out Kamala. Wait a second, which happened? Did they really abstain from the vote, or did they push it forward? Well, they did. They could have done both. And it's so ridiculous. The whole thing is just a comedy of errors. And you're not seeing it because you're looking straight. You're going, it's Kamala versus Trump and Kamala versus Trump. And we've got to vote enough for Trump. And I'm going, if you vote enough for Trump, all it is a math problem. Once you understand, it's just a simple math problem. It's another way of fixing it. This is why we have to fix this before 2024 election, potential election time frame in November. This thing has to get fixed. I'm calling on the military, finish this now. And I trust that we're going to be there. I trust we're going to see it, because it's not just about the presidency. It's about the idiots in Congress. It's about the idiots in Senate. It's about the state senates, the state houses. It's about, Rathbusberger in Georgia, who thinks he wants to win the governorship. He corrupted an election. I'm calling all of them out because they're all cabal. You have to take out cabal issues all the way through and through. You have to wash them clean. I know it's coming. I trust it's coming. You can make me look like a fool if you want to, but I trust it's coming. I know it's going to happen. Hope and have faith. Thanks so much.